All right, let's get into the forecast for the week. It's Saturday, April 26th. We're approaching bloom pretty quickly. I'm going to get in there, going to talk about some apple scab, and then I'll go through the fire blight. This week, to the consternation of all our Niagara listeners, we will start with Eastern New York. Next week, we'll try the Niagara area. Let's see. Let's go to Riverhead. And we'll start with scab first, and then if I remember, we'll go to fire blight. Yep, this is it. You're in the big one. And the reason I wanted to record this on Saturday at the big one is so that you could look ahead and see what's going on. If you're on Long Island, this is the biggest event of the season. If your coverage is gone at this particular instance and you haven't used up all your psyllids, you could say, well, let's see anything coming in the forecast for the rest of the week. Doesn't look like it. Everything's washed off. You could put your psyllid on afterwards, or if you had psyllid on just before, come in with a protectant sometime later in the week. If you felt like your coverage was pretty lax going into this big rain event, you could put the psyllid afterwards and still get some of the reach back activity that it might provide, and it will protect forward for any other nonsense that you have during the week. But right now, it looks like you're pretty clean. Let's go to the Hudson Valley. All right. Same situation. Looking very similar. Big event now. If you feel like your coverage was maybe on the 21st or 22nd, and you're coming up that 47% ascospore ejection, 83% maturity, you could put your psyllid on right after and say, okay, I'm covered for the rest of the week. I'm going to do something else right now. Or you could just simply, if your coverage was pretty close to the big event, you managed to squeeze something on at the end of the week that had some real potency, then you could just put on a protectant afterwards and go happily ever after. It's a big rain, 1.37 inches. Long Island had about very similar when you use the two wetting periods. Since it's been a real tense one, I'm going to click around a little bit in the Hudson Valley. I'm going to go to Campbell Hall. Very similar, 55% ejection, a little more intense. About an inch of rain, wash everything off. But, I mean, it's going to wash it off, but if you had good protectant on close to the event, it's going to do its job and stop apple scab, and then it'll be a little bit depleted. But you could come in afterwards and protect for the rest of the week. If it, I mentioned before, if you're closer to like the 20th with your application before, you could use the Dodine coming in right afterwards, after it's dried. And that's why we wanted to have this predictions today. Let's go check. I'm going to see what we have approved. There's all kinds of stuff. I'm kind of scared to see which one is looking. This particular one, let's don't do Peru. Florence, I noticed the leaf wetness sensor is sort of acting a little bit weird on site. Pick a different one. I'm going to pick, let's try this one. You can tell a little bit because it's not logging those last 24 hours. This other one here, FO2, seems to be a little bit better behaved. You're in a 4% ejection. It's no big losing sleep over. If you got something on before the weekend, you did have a lot of rain. Consider it washed off, but I wouldn't necessarily say after this one you need to like panic apply anything. Save your psyllid for later. Go on, watch the rest of the week, and sort of live happily ever after, if you will. Let's take Chazy as well. Let's see what that area looks like. Up in here. Oh, it's bigger and more intense. You'll notice that it's just had one large wetting period. Ascospore ejection of 2, 3, 4, 3, 1, 1, starting from probably the 23rd all the way through the 27th. They're going to get one break in the rain here. And if you haven't used all your psyllid up in this particular region, which it can be quite different from the Peru region, I would say we go in with the psyllid right there on the 28th. And these are one of the reasons I wanted to put out an alert today. You get this break. That break is probably starting... It says it's raining now, but it might have slacked off, or it's going to slack off tonight. It's going to allow you to come in on the 28th and probably part of the 29th and clean it up. The temperature's dropping to 45. So, if you have an AP, you could put another Scalar Vanguard in here. Or if you're big into rust and you're scared to death of powdery mildew, okay, I would say go ahead and use up one of your Group 3s and put Inspire Super here. It has the AP for this cold weather of 45 degrees. And some mildew activity, and it will allow you to prepare yourself for the next little chunk of rain that's coming on the 29th and the 30th. Let's go to Voorheesville and see how they're looking. A little bit better. You're in a big ejection event. All you need to go is a little further south of the Lake Champlain area into the Capital District, and you're looking at that nasty 26% ejection with 35% ascospore maturity. This is a big one right here. They're not getting a prediction for the rest of the week, so that maybe you're skipping some of the rain in the Capital Districts on the 29th and 30th. If you check your own weather station and you see that you're not, it's your chance to take a page out of Jay-Z's book and maybe come in with something. Maybe use one of your group 3s, especially if you have mildew or rust. But if you don't, just re-protect at the break in the rain. Let's go to Interlaken. All right, this is in the Finger Lakes area, sort of covering the Geneva and Ithaca regions. We're in it now. It's telling me there's no forecast on the 29th and 30th, but I've looked at 100 weather channels, and I think it's going to rain again. It's going to end up... it's sort of stopped now. I mean, you can see we're sort of getting that yes, but you're not seeing that many days of leaf wetness on the 27th. It's dying down. They sort of split these things up into 2 big ejection events, 10 before, 12 before, and 10 now with a 14. That all combines up to a big mess to me, and it's probably safe. So if you haven't gotten your stuff on, or you got it on really early last week, it might be worn out and you might need to use up your second sillet again on the 28th. If not, and you come in on like maybe the 22nd with your fungicide, you probably just weathered it. It's been a lot of leaf wetness, but it's gotten really kind of cold. It was hot and it's gotten kind of cold. But as you can see, the overall rain amount is not that high. It's been kind of drizzly most of the time. Not this 1 to 2 inches of rain. So I think you're kind of doing pretty well there. I'm curious to see what Geneva says for us in my blog. Same thing. It says like we're going to skirt away from that rain that was predicted for some other places that we saw, particularly in the Chazy area. Let's look in Williamston. Let's go to Sodus and see how we're looking around there. They're getting that 29th rain. You can see that they did not have a massive event on the 26th, and we're going to look around in a couple other areas in up along the early part of the lake in the Sodus region and see how we're doing up there. But for the most part, 26 was just a 5%, followed by another 5 later. That means 10. That's moderate enough. We had about 28 hours of leaf wetness and 1/4 of an inch of rain. Enough to wash stuff off, and if I was needed to re-protect for the week, I think you're fine with protecting, but this time you may want to use that sillet on the 28th, mainly because you've got a 20% ejection coming up on the 29th predicted with 12 hours of leaf wetness. It seems like that you have 2 kind of nasty ones back to back, and if you wanted to, you could probably put it on the 27th, get a little kickback on that 26 infection period with your sillet, and go into the 29th. If you're all about mildew and rust, go ahead, use the Inspire Super and get that AP in there to get that kickback and Group 3 kickback on the scab and protect forward against your mildew and rust and scab all coming up on the 29th. Seems like a good one. Let's just want to look a little bit else in the area. What's Walcott looking like? Oh, they do get that 29th level, and it's just been one long infection period for Walcott. It seemed that way for Geneva as well. Ours started Friday night, sort of just moved on. And they get 1 break on the 28th, similar type of scenario. Put that sillet in on the 20th. If you see this thing where you just get a break in the rain and you're going to get another 18% ascospore ejection plus 12 hours of leaf wetness, pop the sillet in there, go to the Inspire Super, get that AP going back, get that group, Inspire going back, difenoconazole, and get a lot of protection going forward with that one. And if you have mildew issues, that's not a bad one. Let's go to Appleton and see how we're doing up there. Let's see. Similar situation, more time. It turned out that this big event wasn't as massive here in Western New York. Yeah, it's Western New York. 6%. And it's more like the Geneva, a little bit drizzly, but you had more breaks in the rain, and you didn't have as, you did have a total of about 33 leaf wetness hours. So that's pretty nasty with that. If you had your coverage on way later, or if you want to make sure you're ready for this big 15% ejection event, that counts as a 16% in my book, since it continues with a 1% afterwards. I would take the same advice as I took for the Sodus region and up along the lake and near Williamson, and come in here with either sillet, or you could use your Group 3 if you have your powdery mildews, but I still might be tempted to save that Group 3 for later. It's okay if you burn out all your Group 9s. You're probably not going to need them the rest of the season in that regard. But the Group 3 does rust, and it does mildew, and it does scab, And the AP in there in your Inspire Super does scab as well. And let's see, I'm going to go click on the map. Don't forget, you can always use the map. Where are we? I want to take a couple other looks around. Let's look at Lockport. See how that station looking just for fun. And you see that it's refreshing, and hopefully it will provide an update soon about Lockport. Maybe Lockport's dead. Nope, Lockport is not down. Yep, it had the more terrifying scenario of 11% ejection on the 25th, going into the 26th with another 8%. That's a big one. And in this case, definitely needs to follow the Niagara protocol of Sillet, or maybe Inspire Super right in there to get the group. Inspire Super is the group 9, the group 3. Sillet has that U12, which is nice, but if you have other issues and you've used up all your Sillets, then go Inspire Super. But look at all this wave flattening. 17 there, gets 6 inches of rain. You're going to have a dip and an opportunity to get back in there. I've driven in the orchard in the rains after the bigger 1 inch or so that we've received in Geneva, and it's still hard enough you can drive a truck in there, and maybe your tractor won't tear everything up. Well, then, all right, I'll let you go for the week, and we'll see you next Thursday at the Pink meeting. All right, have a good one.